My name is Jimmy. This is the podcast, Escape with Jimmy. Right here, I have two special people. We're here to discuss a very, very important topic. A topic that's it's closer to home than you might think. You might have a friend, you might have a family member that is involved in it. You might have one or two enemies that are also involved in it. It's it's a serious topic that we always ignore as Africans, and we just literally just shelf it and just ignore it. We'll be talking about autism this night today, and why autism? Why this particular topic? This particular topic has always been shrouded in so much secrecy and unknown. A lot of people are not aware of what should be done, how it should be done, and what are the right steps to take at the beginning, in the middle, and later on. Tonight I have someone I call Auntie Dotun, and basically she's the founder of the first school for autism. Um, by the way, I saw that you opened the one on VI, Auntie, so I'll be seeking for
One you like.
my side refunds. Anyway, so today we have an expert that would guide us through what autism is about. But I also have my friend here with me, Anne. She's my very cheerful friend. She serves me the best food on church on Sundays, occasionally on Sundays, occasionally. But basically, she'll be bringing it home for us, basically giving us what it feels like sleeping, waking up, and living with someone with autism. Um, let's let Auntie Dotun take the start. Auntie Dotun, can you just give us a brief intro about what your center does, how it has been like, and what are the challenges that you faced over the period of years?
Okay, thank you for having me. My name once again is Dotun Akande of Patrick Speech and Language Center and Pure Skills Learning Foundation.
Okay.
And the center was born out of a personal experience. My son, who was diagnosed in 2000 and, oh, 2000. Wow, that's a long time ago. Yeah, 2000. With
24 years
autism,
ago.
and there was absolutely nothing available in Nigeria. So I decided to set up the first autism center. It's not that there were no centers available in Nigeria before then. There were centers, but they were not specific for individuals living with autism. And like we know, autism is very individualized. I mean, even if you've seen one person, you've seen just that one person. So we try to make it kind of like an
Okay.
individualized intervention. So we
Okay.
set up the center, and we set up. I think we just had 3 children for about 2 years or so, 3 or 5,
Wow.
between 3 and 5 children, because people didn't believe that there's autism in Nigeria. Everybody was just thinking, oh, it's mental health issues. Oh, if I take my child there now, they will be stigmatizing against my child. My child will not be able to go into. So there was a lot of myth surrounding autism when we were
Surrounded it, yes.
coming up. So yes, so in the going back into it and then finding it's one thing to set up a center, it's another thing to find the right set of people to work in that center. So if Nigeria is a place where we didn't know about autism, who would now have to work there? I had to leave the country for almost a year trying to figure out how to open the center, going to centers all over the world. I went to the UK, I went to the US, I went to South Africa. So you can imagine, I was traveling, trying to find out what they
Just
were
to get
doing and
useful
how I could bring it
information.
back home. Yeah,
Okay.
bring it back home and then adapt it to our culture. So that the first set of challenge was who will run the center with me. So I had to be training people, all those people that went to special school, you're in Jos, they had no clue what autism is. So we had to be training them, training parents, talking to parents. And at the time when the stigma was rather high and everybody was hiding their children, and then how come this woman is so bold to bring out her story? And somebody asked me, how come, don't you think you should not talk so much about your son? I said, my son is the reason I'm here. And if you see how well he's done, he can't be the only person in the whole of Nigeria that has autism.
Of
So
course, of course, of
that was
course.
how that was how we gave birth to Patrick. And it's been a beautiful journey. Honestly, I couldn't have done anything else. I studied economics. I was a banker, so moving from banking
Well,
into autism was a total change for me, but it was a beautiful change because I've seen so many lives change because of that center. And the journey is not over because when we came into the field, autism was 1 in 150. Today, autism is 1 in 34 in the US. So you can imagine there's a rise. People are saying, oh, it's better diagnosed. Okay, it could be, but how come younger people are having children with autism? If we're talking about diagnosis, a lot of young people are coming up with autism that was not there in the classroom when I was in school. I didn't find anybody. They would say, okay, they were hiding them. How many people could you hide at that point? You know,
no, not
but
that much.
maybe since we don't know the cause and the reason, everybody is still out there trying to figure out what is going on. Are we looking at environmental factors? Are we looking at our diet? What our children are eating? What we are eating? So there's a lot of controversy out there, a lot of myth, a lot of we don't know out there. So it's still more or less and at the research stage. We are not there yet.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Fair enough what you say about autism being still in the research stage in Nigeria, which is which can be quite annoying because by now you would expect that Nigeria should be moving forward with the times. But
Oh,
Anne,
it's not only in Nigeria. Sorry, it's not only
okay.
in Nigeria. It's all over the world. It's still at the research stage all over the world. A lot of the
Oh, I thought
specialists, a
just
lot of the
Nigeria.
psychologists, no, all over the world. A lot of the psychologists, psychiatrists, they don't know what it is. It's so individualized. I mean, if you have headache, there are painkillers that you can take that can take the headache off. If
Yes,
you have a
of
child with
course, of
autism,
course.
your child is unique to that spectrum. That is why it is called a spectrum. It's unique. The child, I said earlier, we have a young man who has no speech, who has seizures, who does not like to stay around people, who has anxiety, cannot sit still. And he can, if you put a brush and a canvas in front of him, he will give you the best piece
It's
ever.
gonna,
So you can imagine that it's a different brain. It does not correlate. By the time you check the challenges and the strength, because they can have challenges on the lower end of the spectrum and have strength on the highest end of the
higher
spectrum.
end.
And they are so
Oh,
good
okay.
at calculating you that sometimes
Yes,
when you want
yes.
to hold them, they are so quick at wiggling themselves away from that hold. I mean, they are simply amazing. They are an amazing
Yeah,
bunch.
yeah.
So I
Very,
just know
very,
that
very true.
it's a different brain.
Because
It's a
I've
different
had a
brain. And
situation
it's not
doing
something we should throw away. Mhm.
no, 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 definitely not to throw away because a couple of holidays back I had a friend come around with his son who's autistic, and whenever you come to my house, I'll say the lesson teacher should also teach that person too, irrespective of what class.
Mm.
So the mathematics of his own level, the maths for his own level was so low for him. He was able to quickly solve the mathematics that was way ahead of him. And I was like,
Mm.
what? Hold
Mm.
on. And the teacher
Mm.
just kept checking the back of the book to see the answer because he couldn't keep up with how fast the boy was solving the maths.
It
And
was
so
going. Mm.
to me, that's a pure genius. That's pure genius.
Yeah.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, the core thing there is we as Nigerians, we as Africans, we've put autism to the back of the burner for so long. And
Yeah.
one of the reasons why I invited Anne over was because I know Anne has a son that is autistic, and I can imagine what she's gone through so far. And I know the struggles, how it will be like daily waking up, trying to do the right thing at the right time for him to have that unique experience in order to grow, because I know it's all about development and building blocks for them, their own individual blocks. They don't follow a set of we'll be following this curriculum for everybody.
Standard
No,
rule.
they have their own. Yeah. So Anne,
Mm.
tell me, when you wake up in the morning and you think about what your day is going to be like, how do you feel? How do you feel? Overwhelmed? Overwhelmed?
Mm.
I know it can be. Everyone is strong, but you need to be
Mm.
strong as a. Just
Yeah.
take me through that thought process.
I think to answer that question, I think that you sort of grow with as you go along. So it that question it has changed over time for me. Okay,
Oh, okay.
so I think initially in the initial stages, um, I I would be overwhelmed all the time, because I'm very sad and unhappy about the million things that he cannot do that his peers are doing. And then I realized that I needed to, I don't even know how I got to this point, but I realized that I needed to see the million things that he's doing,
Oh, okay.
and celebrate him at this stage where he is, and celebrate the small wins that we're having, even though it could be a
True.
delayed celebration, or if he's able to undo a button or button his, at age 7, I am applauding and so excited. I know that he has his peers would be already undressing and dressing themselves, and doing stuff that are in around
Yeah, but you're
in
celebrating
accordance to
those
their age.
little wins.
I'm
Those
celebrating those
little
little
wins.
wins.
Yes.
And I think for me, once I changed that, and you know what, once I started looking for the positives, I found there were loads. You start, and then it just changes your perspective. So to answer your question about when I wake up in the morning, he does wake up earlier than all of us, and he's our alarm in this house because he doesn't sleep.
Oh, okay.
He
He
struggles to
has
sleep. He's
way
still
too much
awake now.
energy.
Yeah, so he
Okay.
struggles to settle to get to sleep, and he's up by very early in the morning. Sometimes can be up by 3, and he'll go until the end of the day.
Wow.
So but it's not like I am not feeling overwhelmed when I wake up in the morning. It's another day. It's and every day can be different. But of course we have things that we work with. So we kids who are autistic, most of them need, they thrive in a good routine. So we have a routine as a family, and we work with that routine. And then my son, he likes to know what's happening now, what would happen next, and he's so good with the time. He knows the time and the calendar and all of that. So I can say to him after school, this is where we're going. We meet with your kids on Fridays at Space Hoppers. He knows that already. After
Yes,
school on
that's true.
Friday, we are in Space Hoppers, to play. And on Sundays we're in church. So some Sundays, even if we're like, oh my god, we can't make it to church today, it's
We
like,
can drive.
but
You
he
can't make that
knows that
20 minutes
today is
drive.
Sunday. Yes,
Yeah.
how are we going to explain that we are not going to church? Like this last Sunday, I felt the same, but because he's so used to that routine, we have to work with it. And then during the school holidays, I think he struggles to get out of the school routines that he's used to.
Okay.
To answer that question, it's not like it's an overwhelm. I think it's a life that, as a mother, when you come to embrace and you see your kid for the special the beauty that they are, your mindset changes. So you're not walking. I'm not saying that there are no difficult days. There are days that are really.
I was about to point that out.
There
Yes.
are days, I won't even lie. Like, I won't even lie. There's some days I just want to call my mom and just cry on the phone with her,
Mm.
because I am feeling overwhelmed. Okay, there's a lot of challenges. Okay, but I think that with the challenge, I think God, for me, my own belief is that God has given me this child. He has given me all that I need to raise this boy. I just need to dig in and find it, and so I'm walking by faith in a sense, you know.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know if I've answered that question.
No, no,
So
you did
I can
good. But
digress
my
a
my
bit.
question was going to be like, I know it. Every day won't be the same, but
No.
it's about being strong, especially for in a family, especially what you're in the UK where the man and the wife also have to go
Mm,
out to
yeah.
make money, and you
Yeah.
still have to be able to make enough time to form a routine
Yeah.
for him, which is quite important. So
Mm,
I know it can be like difficult it can be like, but I think most times we'll get there slowly but surely.
mm,
But my question now for Antidote is this: Antidote, in the real African sense, when I was growing up, I had friends where they had autistic kids, and they literally used to lock them up.
mm,
I'm not joking. If we go over to their houses, they'll lock them up upstairs. We won't be able to see them, and they might say, "Oh, there's somebody at home." There's nobody at
Hmm.
home, so you would not be able
mm,
to. You
Hmm.
just be hearing footsteps upstairs, and and most times it used to be really bad, because I'm sure the kids really wanted to just all they wanted to do was meet with us and just play with us.
mm.
That's just it. And basically, having that background, are we still do we still have people that are saying, let us hide our kids, let us not let the next door neighbor know about our situation? Basically, how is it, and how are you how are you moving to change that mentality?
Ah, it's still there. And fortunately, we have many more people that are coming out now. So it's there, but it's not as much as it used to, or it's not. They are not as many as it used to be in those days. So many people are now realizing that if our children can have a loving environment, a caring environment, a fruitful environment, because they mop up of our emotions. If we are sad, they will not express themselves to us. If we don't love them as we should, they will close up. But the minute you begin, just like Anne said, that the minute she started to see the small wins, she began to see many more wins. They begin to open up to show you what they can do. They begin to appreciate. They see that you appreciate the little they've done. They begin to open up like a flower. So many people now understand that rather than lock these children up in a room, it's possible for us to bring them out because they are they are children that love nature. They want to run around.
Yeah.
Once they see an open ground, they are gone. That's
They've
why
gone.
many times we find them eloping. They are gone. Once they see
Runners.
the door slightly open, they're out there. So it's that is their nature. And like Anne said, God has given us everything we need to support our children. Everything that we need as a parent, God has given it to us. And it doesn't come in one day. You learn. It is the child that leads you towards the learning. In the past, what Nigerian parents used to do, that Nigerian parents that were rich, what they used to do was send the children to South Africa with a help to go and stay there. They will
Oh,
just be there and they'll be coming home for holidays. So they'll be in a
wow.
boarding school in South Africa, and then the child will be coming home during the summer for holidays. So, of course, for many of those children that went to South Africa, the progress was very minimal because the family connection was missing. And
Yes,
that
that
is very
family
important.
touch.
That family connection is so important. And that is why I must say our children in Nigeria do very well because we are family oriented. It's either a cousin's house, a brother's house, grandma's house. We are moving from one place to the other, and everybody is involved in the nurturing of that child. The way we nurture children is different. We are like we have communal living. We live in a community. We don't keep ourselves away from one another. even though we still have those that say, those that have the religious saying, or those that keep
Oh well,
still
I'm
thinking
still coming there.
it's spiritual attack.
I'm I'm still
It's
coming
spiritual
there. I'm
attack.
still coming
So
there.
in quotes, is this woman, it's my neighbor's eyes. When she saw I was pregnant, the way she looked at me, I knew that she's the one that,
I'm still
So
coming
we still
there.
have that. But still, that communal living, it helps our children do well. Honestly, our children do well with therapy. Another reason why our children do well with therapy in Nigeria. So you can say the flip side of us not accepting, but there's also the other side of those that are accepting and the children are thriving. It's because therapy for us here is cheaper than
Oh, okay.
those abroad.
And it's
Yes,
available.
in the sense that when I say cheaper, it means that there are people around you in your setting that you can find that can help you in your own community. So you have those on the high end, you have those on the lower end.
Of
So
course, of course.
either space, you have people. And then, you know how we say no grief for anybody in Nigeria, no grief. We don't agree.
Nobody
We
agree for
will
anybody.
tell
2024.
we will tell the child, oh no, you can do it. Oh, no. This is
You keep
no.
pushing. You keep
Let's try it
pushing.
again.
Yes.
We keep pushing. We keep encouraging.
Pushing.
We keep using Mama Johnson as an example. You see, Mama Johnson, you see, say the boy don't buy car. Oh boy, he must buy car. That is that mentality that we carry in our in our Nigerian nature helps with our children with autism. It helps.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Auntie Dotun. Because when I was speaking with Anne earlier on about development in the development about the autistic child, we came to a point whereby we're talking about how difficult it is to get proper care for your child, for your autistic child in the UK. An example is where you need to see, and is it a psychologist,
A pediatrician. You have
a,
to see a
a
pediatrician.
pediatrician,
Yeah, and
and
then
it
they need
takes
to
up
do
to
like, yeah.
8 months to
No,
say,
that was for speech therapy. That was for speech therapy for 8 months wait.
Oh,
and I'm
speech
like,
therapies
what?
are not. It's usually not available. Yes.
Yeah.
Speech
Oh,
therapy
okay.
Speech
is
therapy
very
OT.
scarce. We don't even have in Nigeria. We do have. Let me not say we don't have. We have in Nigeria, but you can count them on two hands. I would say,
Wow.
not one hand. In the past, it used to be just one hand. One hand. You can count them. One is in UI. One is in Lagos. One is in Unibed. Well, you can count them. But now they are beginning to open up a little bit more. So what we do as a center, rather than get speech and language therapists, we came to the UK, by the way, to get our center certified as a communication friendly setting. That way we can
Oh, okay.
administer speech and language therapy to the children, because we have
Oh,
trained
okay.
not only I am not only trained, we have trained the person in charge of our speech and communication program. We have also trained the entire school on how to
Oh,
administer speech and language therapy to our children.
that makes a lot of
So, I mean,
sense.
there are ways around it. It's getting better. People are more aware of the depth in the need in the area of speech and language therapy. It is a real depth. Then we don't have enough hands to support our children on the spectrum, and they need it on a daily basis.
They,
But there are
they
ways,
do
I mean,
need it.
internet now
Yeah.
has also made it easy. You can go online now and get some strategies that can help you as a mother, to teach your child speech and language therapy, so you can go learn it and then bring it back home. And that's what we've been encouraging for a long time. Let the parents
But
be
how
involved.
effective it is,
Now,
and how
it's quite
effective are
effective.
those?
If it's quite effective if you keep at it. The best way our children learn is by practice. Remember, she mentioned it, routine. Once they have a
Okay.
routine, they practice that routine, they work with that routine, they get better and better and better at it. And I must say that if your son is not sleeping, can you find out what he eats right before bedtime? That also sometimes helps, to figure out maybe something that is milky, maybe something that has milk, sometimes irritates their gut and does not allow them to sleep. So you might want to look into what it's eating during the day to help him with sleep. Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
And that
Okay, ma'am.
means I'll be sending you the invoice for this consult that she's just done. I'll gladly be a banker. I'll be taking pounds. Please, and I know where you live. I will gladly come over and collect cash. Please, please. But looking at it only, looking at autism holistically from all the angles, like I would say I would say it's something that has to be managed over time. But the misconception that we have as Africans about what they're saying, that offer, in Yoruba language they say is offer. They gave
Yes, so
they put an
they
arrow. They've
bewitched.
drawn yeah, they bewitched the mother when she was pregnant, and the culture, especially the Yoruba culture,
Mm,
doesn't make us so acceptable of say, oh, it has happened. They'll now say, the words your immediate family members might accept, but the
yeah.
larger ones might just be snickering and be giving you bad eye over
Mm-hmm.
time. Is there something, there that I know people, a lot of people deduce things from from all this, from African mythology and all that. But a lot of people say, oh, maybe when the woman was pregnant, she didn't eat the right food, the right minerals and nutrients. The folic acid she was taking was not real strong. These are some of the myths that are there, right out
Yeah,
there. So
yeah.
Auntie Dotun, I know you. I because the time you came out, I
Mm-hmm.
think the internet was Obasanjo's internet was just coming out then. So I know the conception, the kind of brain and mind people would have screamed at you literally. But Anne, I want you to answer right
Yeah.
after Auntie Dotun. Anne, I want you to answer. Does the When during pregnancy, does your food, your environment, and all that, do they play in part in saying the kind of child it is? And Antidotun, going first, does it have to do with the person's grandmother that went to bath in a certain town and didn't take the soap and the leaf, out of the surround? So yeah, because I know I've heard quite a lot about it, and I particularly have a friend that's a child that is autistic now and is extremely scared of having another one.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
So
yes.
that happened.
yeah, so
Mm-hmm.
because basically when they had the child, the kind of African ideas that were put in his head by his immediate family really consumed him so much. So, Antidote, you go first and tell us: do all these things relate? Do all these things affect in having that child in the first
Yes,
place?
sometimes they say that the environmental factors are there. The
And is this based
environmental
on
factors
science?
in effect. Some of them, because sometimes you
It's a
have
major research on that.
um yeah, sometimes you have siblings having children with autism, so they're looking at DNA. Sometimes it's DNA,
Okay,
sometimes the
probably in the
environmental
genes.
toxins.
Mm.
Some people say
Okay,
toxins. When you've had a child, there's a science part of it that says that you wait a couple of years, maybe 4 or 5 years before you have your next child.
Mm.
If not, there's a likelihood that the child might be on the spectrum. They are all still speculating, if I must say so. Like I said, the
okay,
research is
Mm.
still very much ongoing out
Yeah.
there. So they are looking at DNAs, they are looking at, but there is no witchcraft in it, too. I must tell
okay,
you. And there is nothing you
okay.
can do to prevent it.
What
There's
Mm,
no
about
folic acid
vaccines?
you can drink from now to yes, the vaccines too. Some parents can swear that it was when they
Mm.
took the vaccine that
of
for
course, of course, of
that
course.
the child regressed, because we have what we call regressive autism. The child was
Mm.
speaking at 12 months. The child was saying daddy. My son said up nepa and daddy. at 12 months, and he lost it at 18 months. He did not speak again until
Wow.
he was 5. So you can
Wow.
see that, and speaking until he was 5 was because we had speech and language therapists, we had music therapists. I was doing self-help skills with him. I was doing behavior management with him unknowingly. That was what we're doing. We went to his school. We got the school to everything that has been taught in the day. We got the teacher to teach him extra 1 hour, extra 30 minutes, extra 1 hour. They sit one-on-one with him to do everything that has been done during the day. So I got help because somebody gave me this hint at that time. She had a son on the spectrum, and her second son was becoming on the spectrum. And the minute she saw the signs that she saw in the first one, she quickly attacked it, and the second one did very well. You know, but still, she wasn't willing to come out there to really speak much about it because she didn't want her son to be stigmatized against. I mean, it was a bold step coming out in year 2000 to talk about autism.
Yes.
A bold step in. I didn't even speak about it until it was about 2015. I didn't say anything till it was 2015 because Agwalade was just 2 at year 2000. And I didn't even know where we were going to end up. I didn't know whether I was going to be mute for the rest of his life. I didn't know whether it was. And suddenly, we found out that at 5, he started speaking. Then he had a fantastic love for mathematics. And that was it. And that was it. Everything mathematics, anywhere he's going, he will take a pen and a piece of paper and he'll be solving math solutions. He'll be drawing
So
and
you're able
solving
to find the
solutions.
core for him.
So it was easy. It was so easy for us to find something that he could do very well. So when he went to university, he made a first class in maths.
Wow.
He's completed his PhD now in mathematics. So I mean,
Wow.
it's not a death sentence. There's no witchcraft in it. What
That's
it
amazing.
takes is consistency, belief, love, patience, hope, the environmental accommodations, adaptations to the needs of that child. My son won't eat anything but beans and jollof rice. That was all he was eating. He would not eat meat, fish. He would touch it. I was forcing Fanta down this boy's throat. He would throw it up. He would take it. The system didn't take it. So it's so individualized. What I used for my son, I cannot use it for another person because the person is different. And the beauty of autism is that if you let the child lead, he will lead you towards his road of recovery. If you put aside your knowledge, you have to put it aside and focus on that child. Yes, when you now get into that world, you now begin to use your knowledge, the specialist knowledge that you have, to try to change some things over before you can see the results. It's a very, very beautiful journey. It's emotionally draining. That is why you need the support system. The support system must be strong. There must be people you can drop your child with and go away for a few days. If not, you are going to go crazy. Because you will be thinking of all the things that child cannot do. And if that child is very active, it's going to weigh you down. So it doesn't have anything to do with all this myth that we talk about and all this folic acid that we talk about. It's just that we don't know the reason why it's there. We don't know why it's there. It's still, the jury is out on that cause. We don't know why because it is so individualized, So.
Thanks a lot, Benson. You're able to break it down for me now. So now, when I speak with other people, and when other people see this video, they'll be able to say, "Oh no, 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 no." So, can you break it down for me from that other angle of say, when you were pregnant for your for your son, were you keeping healthy? Were you keeping fit? Did you have an inkling this might have been?
No, I didn't. I didn't have an inkling. I was studying social work at the time, but I really didn't know what autism was. I learned in school, but of course, when you learn, you're learning something you never, in your wildest imagination, think that it would be something that you would have to deal with personally. If you go on my Instagram feeds now, lots of things that are popping up are like autism-based things, and it's interesting because I'm like, because it's something that I'm dealing with personally. These are the things that I am now around, and I suppose somebody who's not
Yes.
dealing with it personally wouldn't really bother with it.
Yeah.
So in terms of the when I was pregnant, I did, it was sorry,
No, I'm used to the ringtone.
that's Ellie's toy. That's my dog.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
I don't know. Nobody. It just went. It's just neighing over there. Sorry about that. I hope
No, no, it's
you
fine.
can
We're all
edit it out.
forgiven.
Oh, that's fine.
We're
It's
all
part of it.
forgiven. It's part of it.
So I didn't know at all. I didn't know at all. I took my supplements as normal. I don't like taking supplements, so I was, I missed a lot of it, and I'll just take it as and when. I was in school. I'm not ordinarily not a very big eater, so so when the whole thing came, I was like, maybe because I wasn't eating all these like nice meals. I'd like to drink gari when I was pregnant, and even with my second daughter, I'll drink a lot of gari. That's mostly what I'd crave, which is
I think
not
my
healthy
wife's
at
own
all.
was it. My wife's own was
It's very
always
healthy.
sending
Oh.
me to go
Our
and buy
Gary is
amala.
very healthy.
Very, very healthy. My wife used to send me to go and buy amala and begiri.
Uh,
And
Yes. Oh.
I would go so far to go and buy it, and she would throw it up after
oh
eating
dear.
it. So I totally understand the Gary part. I totally understand the Gary part, definitely.
So
Yeah.
but I was small. I was always small. All my pregnancies have been very small. So they worried about my son's size. And I had to have several growth scans. But even at that, they didn't think that, in the UK here, you do all this tests for any sort of I think for Down syndrome or one of these other things, you have to
Mm,
do it
mm,
whilst
mm.
you're pregnant. But there was nothing. All of that came fine. And then when I had him, it was really small, but I think I don't have big. I tend not to have big babies, and both my babies
Okay.
were quite small. Um, and then it was just everything went as normal. But what when he was like 2 or 3, he's he delayed in all his milestones, right? But we just took it as a normal thing. So he didn't crawl. He didn't start sitting early. He didn't start crawling on time. He didn't start walk. I think he started walking when he was like a year and a few months before he started walking, and he was so fragile. He was really fragile when he was. You think that once the air would just blow him down. And then the other thing that I had to go at nearly 3. This frontanel. He's I don't know whether
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
related, but that
Mm.
never
It
closed, and
includes.
that it didn't close. And I went to the GP and I was like, this, I don't know that a child at nearly 3 should
You
still
should
be
still
having
have
that
that.
thing going
Yeah.
on. Yeah. So, and they
Mm.
said, oh, I should just keep an eye. If it doesn't close, I should come back, and I think eventually it closed. But I don't know whether those things were all related. I just thought,
Related.
we just had a bit of a delay, or maybe and I used
Mm.
to think that I was never a good mom. Okay, I just used to think that I was never. I think I just really put myself down quite a lot. So I took a lot of blame for everything that was happening. And at the time, I was a student. I was doing placements. I had to go to school full time, and then my husband, because we're paying international fees, had to work at night. So in the
To
morning,
support.
when he comes home in the morning, I'm passing my son to him, and then I'm going off to my placement, which was full time. So I had to go 9 till 5 every day. And then he'll have my son. But of course, he has not slept all night. So then I started wondering, oh, is
Mm.
it that? So sometimes you have to catch a bit of sleep in between caring for our 1-year-old son at the time. And I think most times he had to sit in front of the telly. So then I said, oh, is it that we did too much screen
Too much
time?
TV time. Yeah, I know.
Happening,
I know.
and also I just in those initial times when I had no idea what was going on, I just really blamed it on all of this. But no, I didn't know that in the pregnancy, I didn't. There was nothing that made me believe or feel like there was something wrong with going on with him
But
whilst
in
he
a
was
way,
in.
I think you do have an edge right now because being in social work opens you up to having getting so much knowledge about what is required and what should be done. Or what do you think? Does
I
it not?
agree. It does. It does. I mean, I had even before I got a diagnosis, I had kids who I was on my caseload who were autistic, and I think what happened after post diagnosis, I realized that I got on better with parents with additional kids because we, even if it was a safeguarding issue that was taking me to that house, we could just talk about,
Mm.
I could get them and they could get me because I understood. And I think in a way, maybe it even helped me with my assessment of the parents. There were some who were not even had been removed and were placed with grandparents because of one maybe domestic abuse or drug use or something. And they were, some of those moms. Like I'm thinking about one who had twin boy and girl who were both autistic, non-verbal at the time. And it's interesting with their own because they were not eating anything apart from one. They only ate junk. That was the only
The
thing that they
kids?
took in.
Mm.
Yes. So at age
Mm.
Wow.
3, their teeth was already. You would just know that before age 5, they probably have to take out everything. It was already down that they were going to take out all of their teeth because it was already so bad. But that's all they
Wow.
would eat, morning, day, and night. So like Auntie Dotun said, there's a lot of it's different for every, it's on a case by case, it's different for everybody. Some
Mm.
kids are extremely fussy with food, and some are not, some will only stick to certain things and some, so it's different for every child. So I think the fact that I'm in social work and now how it has helped me is that I'm able to I'm thinking ahead. I'm constantly thinking about the future for my son. Even though my son is now 7, I'm thinking, what secondary school? I'm looking at things, because I know that the big issue with the UK schools is that there's usually a lot of support when they're in primary school. Like you said about your friend's son who had a lower level math and he was doing so much
Yes,
higher
yeah.
level when he came. So,
Yes.
and I feel like I have that with my son at the minute because he knows maths a lot. He's good with his maths. He will tell you 500 times 50, and I'm like running to go at calculators. He say,
I
"What
mean,
is that? I don't understand."
hold on for me. Hold on
You
for
know.
me.
His mental maths is fantastic, but much better than his dad, who is also a mathematician. So,
Yeah.
um, but he's still doing addition and subtraction in school, and I think he's quite bored with it. But school, I think they're
Mm.
going very gently. And when I'm saying, this boy might be bored, that's why he's behaving like this. That's why he's very very distracted because the major issue we have in school, they say he's not focused, he's so distracted, he won't sit still, and all of that. But they wouldn't agree with me that I think that he's quite bored with some of the learning because he's sort of advanced. They don't think he is. They don't think he understands. They feel like he's just said, just like when he knows how to read, and they feel like he's just reading but doesn't really grab the concept of what he's reading. I think that a lot of kids who are autistic, because they're not very verbally expressive, that I feel that they have it. There's so much that we don't. They take in a
Yeah.
lot. It's just they don't really bring it out. And unfortunately, I think sometimes the school system is like it's a garbage in, almost like garbage in, garbage out in a
Garbage
way.
out.
Garbage
Yes.
So
out.
and that's like their own form of assessment. So if the child is not able to do ABC the way that they want him to do it, then it's like he doesn't know it or he's not. So I think I've lost track of what I wanted to say. I was saying.
No, no, no. I do
Oh,
get it.
so
I do
yeah,
get it.
yeah. So I was talking about the schools. So so these kids sometimes might get quite bored in school, and because of their special needs, the expectation of them is so low, right? They
Yeah.
have a lot of
Yeah.
gaps in their
Yeah.
learning.
So
By the time they
low.
go
So
into
low.
secondary school, right, they don't know how to do a lot of things. And then they are much more bored because nobody is going to, they are moving ahead. And you find that then these kids start struggling with their behaviors. So most of the
Mm.
special needs secondary schools we have in the UK are more behavioral. And it's not
Yeah.
every autistic child that struggles with their
With
behavior. So now you
behavior.
can put a
Yeah.
child with no behavioral issue in a
Mm. Behavior.
supposedly specialist secondary school, and that you see a different child coming out,
Mm.
because kids will copy, kids will see,
Of course,
when
they would.
they would learn from others. So for me, how what social work has taught me, or how my job has helped, it has made me very alert. So I'm thinking about my son's future. I'm like, I can't see anything. I can't see him going to any of the schools around here. So I want to take a step ahead. Okay. I want to
Okay.
go, I want to get it early. I want to get it earlier. So now my husband and I were in talks. Maybe I need to slow down. I need to come back, and we need to look into homeschooling, where we can actually do support him, his interests, and do that tailored support for him, so that from now, at least if we start from now, and by the time he gets into, he wouldn't need to go to any secondary school where we're worried about how his behaviors
True,
and
true,
stuff
true.
like that, and he would have picked up a lot and probably calmed down by then. So it wouldn't be, because I feel that the way that he's going now in school, he probably still be very lack a lot of focus, and he'll still be so distracted. um because it's the same strategy. If I was teaching him at home, I'm more flexible. Like Auntie Dotun said,
Yeah.
kids love to run. They love to run out, so we can be so flexible with our running. If he's tired of learning, I would just, okay, let's get out. Let's go out to the park and run. There's there's lots of parks. You
Have
can
a
go and
good time outside.
have a run around, and
Yeah.
expel some, and we'll come back to it, and we'll do the bite size. We'll do it bit by, but I'm right here by your side. And
Yeah.
like Auntie
Yeah.
Dutton said,
Yeah.
that love is, I think, whether, regardless of whether the kids have needs or not, um every child thrives from
In a
a
loving
safe
environment.
and loving environment.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, it's fine. Ignore it and ignore it and.
My husband's taking it out.
Fair enough.
so,
So,
so so I think for me, that's what my job is, and I'm so very thankful. I just feel that, when you look back, you never know what the future holds for
Yeah.
you. And I remember
Holds.
when my husband, when we're getting, because I got married 2 weeks after I came here, I started doing my masters and stuff, and everything was all. I always say that I got married to my husband by faith, because we did a lot of distant relationship, and I was coming to this new land with this man, and I didn't know what it held for us, and all of that. But I think that God orders our steps. He knows ahead,
I can vouch for Emmanuel. He's a good
I know
man.
It's
He's a
fantastic. You see, you can hear.
he's a fantastic lad. I
So,
can vouch
so
for him.
So I think you never really know what the future holds. But look at us here. It's almost like we're in that future now, 9 years on, and this is where we are at. But I think that God has He has taken me through things that to prepare me for now, So be it with my experience as a social worker, or with my social work degree, to make tailor the right decisions, because I feel that I have worked with the school system a lot in my job. I have met a lot of parents. I know students who would struggle. There's a lot of correlation with autism and anxiety, especially in girls. So most of them, I think about a 14-year-old girl that I worked with. She was out of school for like over a year. She was just so anxious. She couldn't get into school. She was fine. She's autistic, and she was fine. Just like Auntie Dotun had mentioned masking in the previous
Yeah.
one that we, she and I think girls are quite huge at doing that masking thing. I
They're
think
very good at masking. Yes.
really good at. So I think throughout secondary school, went through seamlessly. Sorry, throughout primary, she went seamlessly with no issues, and then she got into the big school. And there's in the UK here, there's a big difference with the primary schools, which is much more nurturing and maybe
Yeah.
smaller and more and then they go into these big schools.
Second,
They have
which is
the
like free for all. It's
It's really
just
big, and it's
chaos.
almost like a university. Like you go move around every subject you go to. You move around classes
Mm-hmm.
for your,
Mm-hmm.
So it's overwhelming, especially for a kid who has additional needs, or autism. So that masking is then really hard to mask, and then that child gets overwhelmed and starts dealing with anxiety. And this mom and me and her, we chased up school. We chased up school. She kept saying school are not putting in the support. They're not doing this yet. And her child was just at home for that over a year. In fact, before I left that position, the child was still not in school. We had
Wow.
escalated things. We had gone up to my manager had stepped in to escalate, you know, and all the steps that were put in place didn't really work for that child. And now I think, and because obviously not every mom will think about, oh, can I maybe try and see what I can do with my child at home? Not everybody has the capacity or even the chance to be able to do it, because people need to work and make money, so it's
True.
different for everybody. But I think that this experience is just, it has just helped me to be able to make feel, I feel that I'm very well informed in terms of knowing what's best for our son, and how to sort of navigate that this sort of this territory in this
The
foreign
old
land.
terrain, which is
Yeah.
good, which is good. And Auntie Dotun, one last question: what advice would you give the young would I call young adults for a new mother that just found that is just finding out about
And just finding out about
autism?
their child as well.
Yes,
Okay.
and so many
The
people,
first thing is, sorry. Mhm.
just 1 minute. So many people are
Okay.
still not sure that their child is autistic. When you try to fool your head and say, no, in Jesus' name, my child is not autistic. The result that will come out is going to be totally, no, no, no. We all know the result will come out and the child is going to be autistic. What is your advice? Because basically, it has to take your willpower. You need to put what you've known for all of your life aside and face it on. What would be
Yes.
your solid,
Yes.
candid
The
advice to
first
them?
thing, yes, the first thing the parents has to do is accept. With acceptance, you believe that something is wrong. Now, what do we do after we've accepted? First is acceptance. Second is belief. When my son was diagnosed, I told him, Mister, your hands are working, your legs are working, you're just not speaking. So it's possible you might not be able to go to school. But you know that there are people out there that play piano. You will play piano for the church. I enrolled him immediately in Zone Center in Lagos Island. I'm sure you know. I got their curriculum.
Mr. Seta, yes, very well.
So you have to be intentional about that your child that is different. You must be intentional. But if you are not accepting and you are working in denial, that child will never ever open up to you. Another thing is early intervention. The earlier you intervene in the life of these children, the better they turn out.
Better.
Yesterday, if you go to my Instagram page, you see the story of a young man that came to us. The boy came to us, I think, when he was about 3 or 4. That boy speaks 3 languages now.
Wow.
So you can imagine what happened if that child had not gotten early intervention. There is another young young man in our school. He came to us at 21. He learned to play the piano in 6 months. Imagine what could have happened if that young man had gotten early intervention at 3. He would be a genius, he would be a music master. So you can imagine what goes. Those are just examples that I can give to you that tells you that early intervention is key. Acceptance is the first way to go. Then believe in that child. Please believe in that child. Don't let the challenges mask your belief that that child can do great things.
That's right.
Find what that child can do very well, what he loves and he enjoys, and nurse it, sharpen it, make him the best at what he can be in that area, and you will see him just thrive. Most of our children are gifted and talented children, honestly. It's just that the challenges mask a lot of these gifts that they have.
Of course, of
See,
course.
I'm talking about mathematics. See, I'm talking about dates, time, numbers. There is a young man that used to be with us. Give him 26 November 1969. He will give you the day of the week that falls on without looking at the calendar. That is sheer giftedness. So we need to find these children and meet them at the point of their need. They know us. The minute they stare at you, Some people can walk towards that young man with autism and he will run away. He understands, he has already read the internal. I believe they have what we call the fourth sense, the fifth sense. They can sense emotions from 10,000 miles away. They know who loves them. They know who cares about them. They run towards the people that they know would, embrace them. They run away from those that they know would harm them. Remember, the first thing that a child um, does as a child is to understand the environment. When the child is in the court and you go there and say, hello, sees your smile. The minute you come back the next day, that child will smile at you.
Of course, yes,
That's
that's
how
true.
typical children are. And the first thing every human being is created for is survival. So they first of all are thinking of their survival and are fearful of things that they feel that seems like harmful to them. So we must be careful what we expose the children to. That is why a loving, caring, rich environment is very important. Those that love the children, let them interact with them. Those that are constantly looking at their challenges, let us move them far away from them. Very, very important. So that's my final charge to families. Early intervention, acceptance. Acceptance leads to early intervention, loving environment, patience, and routine. Create a routine. Make sure that the child understands what comes next. In that way, they will not be fearful.
Oh, fantastic! Thanks a lot for that, Auntie Dotun. Anne, your final words.
So
Your
my
final
final
words
word
on
to a
autism.
mom, to somebody
Yes.
who has just received a diagnosis of for their child is that you would grieve, you would go through a process of grief, um, because you are almost letting go of what you thought you thought you
Your
would have
plans.
or you hoped for. Yeah, for something what has been given to you. Um, one man, I was chatting with him some days ago. We go to a group with other kids with other children and families with needs, and we're discussing the disabilities. And he said it's like you were told that you were going on holiday to maybe to the Maldives or to Seychelles, and then you hoped that you were going to go to the Maldives, and all of a sudden they are sending you to Cape Verde or Tanzania. And then he said that you would still have a good time at Cape Verde or in Tanzania, but it's not what you had expected.
No,
So
that
you
was
get
not
a
your plan.
package. It's not your plan. And sometimes you would go through. It's like almost like for me. I felt like I went through a grieving process. I felt like I had lost. I felt like I had a deep sense of loss in that, and it was something that I couldn't control. But over time, and I think that's what would lead to that acceptance. You will go through a process of feeling of grieving, of feeling angry, and then feeling angry at God or whoever. For me, for a while I was quite angry initially, and then I got really sad, very sad, and I just couldn't. That's my first experience of feeling depressed. I couldn't explain the intense sadness that I was feeling, and then through that, and then somebody said to me, "You might be grieving," and because I didn't understand what was going on, and then once you go through that sadness, anger, and then it will be a phase where you are really accepting and coming to terms with things and saying, well, this is the reality of things now. How do I move? How do I move forward from this point?
Oh,
And I think that's really important if you don't come to a point of acceptance. And I think that a lot of parents struggle with it. I know that time is off now, but I don't know if you've heard about some of these really invasive surgeries that are done, like the stem cell things that are done now to apparently it's a treatment for autism and all of that.
Stem cell?
Yeah,
Is
it's
that not
really
for?
expensive. It's really expensive and I know of someone who has just recently come back from India with their son, who went to do
Oh,
it. Um, and I wonder if it's from a place of not really. I don't. It's almost like you are wanting pushing for your child, but I don't know what your opinion is. I just feel that maybe it's from a place of not really
understanding what autism is
accepting,
all
or you want
about.
to change what you've got. It's from a place of wanting to change what you've got,
Does it change?
change.
Does it change the child?
It's a risk. That is a risk, because it might do. I've heard of some positive success stories, and I've heard of some that increased seizures, made kids become bedbound, and just made them 10 times worse than what the original symptoms
Bed bound.
that they
That
had.
that's bad.
Um, so
So, Auntie
I think
Datu, can you talk to that? Can you do that?
Well, like I say all the time, autism is individualized. You cannot predict what will happen. They say, oh, be on casein free, gluten free diet. It doesn't work for all children.
mm,
Parents waste money, they waste time. Many, like she said, many people are still grieving. And many people never come out of that state until they've tried everything and used that child as a guinea pig for every single treatment out there. That doesn't work. Most of the time, it doesn't work. Therapy works when the child knows that you are interested in him or her doing well. They open up. You have to go and drive yourself into their world before they come out of it. So it's very individualized, and I must say that sadly, many times we lose a lot of children to things like that.
Because I believe such operations would definitely be what's the word? Testing will be in the testing phases.
it's a high risk.
Yeah,
So
Yeah, that's a high risk
yeah,
session.
very
very,
high
very, very high
risk.
risk.
And I don't think it will be a good thing to um, encourage people to just say, "Oh, I've heard about it. Let me go do it." And apart from losing money from it, um, the part of getting your hopes shattered when you find
Yeah.
out that you've actually made
Yeah.
it worse, I think might just
Mm.
push a parent
Mm,
into more
yeah.
mental health issues along the way. So for me, it's quite important because mental
Yeah.
health is another
Another
thing
thing,
on its
yeah,
own.
yeah, on its own. Another thing that is very useful is a support system. You need a very strong support system. You need somebody to hold your hand. Probably somebody that has walked that road before. You need that person to constantly be in your corner
To act like a mentor.
so that you can get, yes, you can get advice. You can ask other people. So if you find a parents group, that's fantastic. It gives you a good insight into what others have gone through, and it helps you make informed decisions for some of the strategies that you need to put in place to support the child.
Yeah,
Whew.
fantastic. Ah, I don't know how to say my thank you. I'm lost for words. It's been an interactive session. It's been an eye opener. It's been a learning process for me. First of all, I'd like to thank Auntie Dotun Akande, my very,
Okay, well.
very, very, very good in-law. The 42 tubers of yam I brought the other time.
I
Now I
beg you, we
know.
finish eating that one. Bring another set.
Another said, well, it's going to be
We
10 years
eating
this
that one
year.
since. Look
It-
at
it's going to be
you.
10 years.
So
This
it's
we
renew. We
will,
have
we
to
will,
do renewal
we
now.
will- I will tell the farmers that 42 times 10, that's 420. Let us do
God
it. Let
bless
us
you.
do
God bless you. Uh-huh.
it. I must thank you a lot because basically I looked left, I looked right, I felt I needed an expert on the topic. And for me, it's not just about me learning, it's about other people that would go through this video
Yeah.
and learn and pick up good things because I can't count how many times I've watched videos online about what people are going through, about expert opinions, and I've learned about it and been able to put it into process. A big thank you to Anne. Thank you very much. Let me hold your husband. I know his team lost. Please, in my village, I'm an Abeokuta man. When Abeokuta men are losing, when their team is losing, you go and make white amala with
Yeah.
soft goat meat. But it's just a hint for you. Yeah, but
Not
I
this
do have.
night.
He's on his own this night, Abi. Let
Not
him
this
sleep on the
night.
couch. I really appreciate everybody for coming on. And
Oh,
in the words of in the words of in the words of the sermon we had last Sunday, and where
and
the
Sarah. Sarah who
yeah,
preached.
where she
Yeah.
spoke about God will not give you what you cannot carry. Have you
Yeah.
forgotten the sermon?
Yeah, well, I was running after Ethan, so we're in the other end, so I missed the sermon on Sunday, but I hope
Okay,
to
well,
catch up
the sermon was about God will not give you what
what
you
you
cannot
cannot
carry.
carry. Yeah.
So it actually applies to a bit to
Mm,
this podcast. So, but
mm,
basically, I do appreciate everybody for coming.
mm. And thank
Uh,
you. Thank you for having me.